Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Dr. L's Breakdown. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. Make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. We had some terrible, terrible, terrible news. A friend of mine texted me and said my thoughts about Charlie Kirk. I'm like, oh man, what did this dude do or say now? And then he called me up and said, nah, brother, this brother was off, live in front of some students there. So it was really, really tragic, and I really am heartbroken over this. I did not agree with this brother, but I certainly don't agree or like or appreciate this particular way that someone decided to choose to how to handle the grievances. Right? We try to live in a country that we take the high road and have our grievances, as Charlie did, with microphones and with conversations, like it, hate it, disagree or not, taking to violence and taking to this type of thing is really, really tragic, and I'm really sorry about that. If you have not seen this, I'm going to play a short. You can go over to YouTube. I don't suggest it, particularly if you have a weak stomach. I don't particularly, I'm not going to recommend it if you have a weak stomach. However, the unedited version is is on Instagram. The unedited version was on Instagram, so you can go over there, watch that, and it's really, really tragic. After years of being in law enforcement, and then I've been in retirement now for about 6 years, and yeah, it's been not long. Huh? I've been in retirement about 6 years. Yeah, almost 6 years, and it's really, really, I became desensitized to seeing that thing, and now I'm becoming more regular, more human, if you will. And just seeing this again kind of brought back a lot of memories. And even now, still, I do work for lawyers, and I have to review this type of thing. And sometimes I'm still like, And as my friend was telling me, he was not in law enforcement. As my friend was telling me, the movies that we watch all the time, certainly desensitize us to that type of thing. Let me say, if there's anyone in the building, for this live video, you can make sure you hit the like button. Yeah, Yoli, thank you so much for coming over here saying, yeah, I saw it, gruesome and traumatizing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to put this on the screen here. We're going to watch some news conferences. We'll have a discussion about it. And one of the biggest things I want to get out of this is, what's the best way to have discussions about, with people that we disagree with. We're going to disagree. We're in a really sensitive place here in America. I don't think that a lot of times people are realizing it. On my other channel, I talk more about relationships and stuff, but I pay attention to a lot of politics, international relationships, international relations, and all that. And we're not in a good place. And there's some bad stuff that is slated or people are thinking about is going to happen, or some predictions, I should say. So let's watch a little bit of this here. Hey Rhonda, and hey Yoli to you. Yeah, I wish I hadn't seen any. Listen, I think we all wish that, and we certainly wish it wouldn't have happened here. So let's get into this. I think this is it. Here, we'll play a video here. Where's the sound at? Come on now.
The founder of the highly influential conservative group Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, has been shot. He was shot while he was hosting an event on the campus of Utah Valley University. This video shows the moments before he was shot. A huge crowd gathered around him. He'd been speaking for about 20 minutes before he was struck, according to a spokesperson for the university. The university says that the suspect fired at Kirk from a building about 200 yards away. The FBI says in a statement that agents will be responding on the scene. The shooting drawing reaction from across the political spectrum this hour. Donald Trump posted this, quote, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot," end quote. California's Governor Gavin Newsom says, quote, "The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form." The founder of the highly influential conservative group Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, has been.
I think this one, New York Post, might have a little bit more. Just for anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
Oh my God. Go, run. Oh.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
What the fuck? That's right, you ain't signing.
You guys okay? Okay, love you. Be safe. Okay, be safe. Apparently there's been a shooting. We don't know who's been shot. We are here live at Utah Valley State University. I don't know if that was shots or if that was fireworks.
Yeah. So now again, he on Instagram, probably Twitter or X, you can go and watch the full extent of that, and it's some of them are unedited, and you can see it, and I could tell it was a sniper shot because you could see him flinch before you hear the shot, and that lets you know it was definitely a distance away. Tragic. I definitely agree with the sentiments that have been given so far concerning, we should not tolerate that type of violence. Just really, really terrible. Let me see. I'm going to go over to NBC News here. Remove this. Stop screen share here. We're just going to go through some news articles and what we know so far. Persons of interest. What is this one? Person of interest. Person of interest in this case. Let's go.
Conference saying that the subject of. All right, we've just been listening to Utah officials, including Governor Spencer Cox, talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. A bit of confusion there for many of us covering this and the press as well that was gathered because the head of the FBI director, Kash Patel, put out a post on X just before this news conference saying that the subject of the shooting, I'm going to read it here, the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Now, it was unclear from the news conference who exactly was in custody, but later the governor saying there was a person of interest in custody, and later a police officer saying that they're trying to sort of connect the dots right now. I do want to bring in our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom, look, things are very fluid. This just happened a few hours ago. It was an assassination from long range. It was planned out from what we've heard. There was a suspect in dark clothing, they believe, seen on closed circuit TV at Utah Valley University. The question now is, it seemed like the FBI director went a little further than officials in Utah were comfortable with. Do you think this is an issue of semantics, or they have the man they were looking for?
Yeah, it's an issue of semantics, Tom. And according to our colleague, Mike Cosner, who is talking to the top of the FBI tonight, there is growing confidence that the individual identified by officials in Utah as a person of interest that they now have in custody is, in fact, the person they believe could be the shooter in this. So to just break down the semantics briefly, sometimes they don't want to call somebody a suspect for certain legal reasons in their ability to question and their ability to talk to that person. So that could be at play here. In addition to that, they want to make sure that they can match up the evidence that they've recovered and seen so far to this person before officially calling them a suspect. Right, but right now they have a real good feeling that the person they think is responsible for this assassination, they do have in fact in custody.
The governor's saying they're going to look for anybody that may be connected to the shooting, but they don't believe that there was a second person involved in the shooting, that the shooter likely was on the roof of the building about 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking, long-range rifle, able to hit Charlie Kirk somewhere in the neck or the chest, killing him in front of a crowd of thousands that had gathered.
He said the neck of the chest. Obviously, this brother didn't watch the video because it's clearly in the neck. Again, I know some people. So it's being asked, is it on X? I watched it on Instagram, so I don't know. The level of hate in this world is reprehensible. Yeah, it is. It's really, really terrible. Scared to watch it? Then don't watch it. I mean, if you're squeamish about that type of thing, I would not recommend it. That the video that we just watched there was obviously blurred out, but it's really a bad scene. It's really a bad scene. So yeah, we'll continue on with this here.
At this university there in Utah. I guess my next question to you is, they were talking about the security there. The police officer that was in charge, I think it was the chief of police, they're saying they had numerous officers, clearly in hindsight, not enough, but also the person who had planned this out. maybe had thought a little more than others had there, and was intent on killing Charlie Kirk even from very far away.
I mean, there becomes a point for these university officials, for people at these high-profile institutions. I mean, do we just go to Secret Service protection for every single major event?
Right.
Because that's the type of thing that you're seeing. And by the way, we still had 2 attempted assassinations on then candidate Donald Trump, now President Donald Trump, and he did have Secret Service protection, as we well know. If this individual was some measurements 500 feet, some 200 yards away with a semi-automatic rifle, that is not a particularly difficult shot for somebody that would have planned for this, would have had access to the weapon to be able to conduct what they were able to conduct today.
We should clear up something, too, that officials cleared up as well. There was a lot of video and initial report that the suspect was in custody early on, and there was social media video of an elderly man who had been handcuffed. Police now saying that person has been arrested. They are not connected to the shooting, at least not right now, but they were arrested for obstruction of justice.
Yes, that's George Zinn. This is an individual, according to publicly available documents and records, and what officials said at the press conference is somebody who they have had interactions with before, a well-known local protester. But again, we want to be clear, there's no indication this individual had anything to do with what is now being described by officials there as a political assassination. What that person's role is, whether or not they'll ultimately go through the trial process, we'll see. Presumably, they'll profess their innocence as well.
I want to.
Yeah, so that's terrible.
I want to go to Ryan Riley. I want to go to Gabe Gutierrez. I want to go to Vaughn Hilliard, because we now have a huge update that the FBI director, Kash Patel, according to him, says that the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. A significant update here. And I'm going to ask our team to go ahead and build this tweet, this post online, an X post from the FBI director, Kash Patel. Again, official notification from the FBI director, who says that there is a suspect now in custody. This is significant, considering that it had been a period, obviously, of several hours between the time of the shooting, the time that we learned that Kirk had in fact been killed, learning that, of course, from President Trump, to now this word from...
Now, this is the crime scene right here. I'm just kind of just winging this here, but based on the crime scene here, if you watch the video, you'll see him kind of slump to his left, and it's my assumption he then has, I'm gonna get a little graphic here, he has blood spewing out of the left side of his neck, right? If you know anything about the human heart, human anatomy, anything about it, right? So the blood is pumped, goes up to your brain, and then comes down on the left side. So and it returns to the heart on the left side. So he was, I'm assuming that he was shot on the right side. So that would put the shooter, if you can see, you can't see my little cursor here, but the cursor is on the building that looks like a little white triangle here at the bottom here, right above the word conservative. So that's where I'm assuming he was probably located, somewhere along those lines. I'm sure there's going to bring forensic experts who are going to, be able to speak more, and they're going to do the line of fire and all that type of thing, and who's going to give a greater detail about what happened. But somewhere at the bottom of the screen here, roughly 200 yards away, and he had to have clear sight of this particular person, of Charlie. And let me see here. I want to see here. Do I have? All right, let me just go back to this for a second here. Put this on the screen here. Share screen. Charlie Kirk fire radio capture. So in this image right here, we can see, this is what I'm saying, right? So he had to have line of sight to be able to see underneath this. Oh, you can't see it here. To see underneath this tent, this tent that they had. He had to have line of sight to see that. So I'm assuming that off to the left of the screen here is where he was. You can see him, if you watch the full video, that's unedited. You see him slump over, and the blood is then spewing out on his left side there. It's a horrible, horrible thing here. So let's go back over to what the FBI director Patel is saying. Why did you do that? Let's see. Share screen.
update here, and I'm going to ask our team to go ahead and build this tweet, this post online, an X post from the FBI director, Kash Patel. Again, official notification from the FBI director who says that there is a suspect now in custody. This is significant considering that it had been a period, obviously, of several hours between the time of the shooting, the time that we learned that Kirk had in fact been killed, learning that, of course, from President Trump, to now this word from the FBI director that a suspect is in custody. We're going to see if we can scramble up Tom Winter as well. But Ryan Riley, let me go to you as somebody who covers the FBI. As we talked about a bit ago, Kash Patel, the FBI director, also, by the way, somebody who was influential in the conservative sphere before he took on this job at the FBI, was early to say that the FBI was going to be assisting folks in Utah. And I want to note, too, we expect that news conference to begin potentially any minute where I'm sure we'll hear more from law enforcement.
Because Charlie was such a huge figure in the conservative movement, that is why the FBI is more than likely going to get involved. Is this a planned attack on more conservative figures? Was there any chatter on any websites? Disagreeing with him? Is there any knowledge of this? They're going to start digging through different people's posts and try to find out, is this a bigger event? What's up with this? Are there other people targeted? Another controversial figure is this guy, Myron Gaines, who does the same type of events. You might want to consider more security for going on, right? And other conservative persons, right? Maybe they might not want to do outdoor events if they're going to be highly publicized or highly politically controversial. And there was a time when guys like Ben Shapiro would go on to shows go do these types of events, and sometimes the schools would stop them from coming because they were so controversial, because they were more right wing. So they might want to consider these types of venues, or at least doing them outside. But this is horrible. This is really horrible.
Officials in Utah, the commissioner of public safety there, as well as the governor, Ryan.
Yes, according to this tweet from Kash Patel, which just came out moments ago, they have someone in custody there. They haven't named the actual suspect yet, but that's a hugely significant development and a pretty rapid change, because as far as we knew, there was not. They had not announced that they were looking for anyone. They had not announced anything along those lines. There was that arrest that took place on the scene, but that ended up not being the suspect. There had been videos circulating, and from some of the reporting and from some of the statements that were made by the school, they were looking at that rooftop area and that was nearby. So I think that's probably where they were, training a lot of their focus on. But having gotten someone in custody this quickly, I'll be curious to learn more, probably in this press conference, about how that exactly ended up happening, whether it was at the scene or whether this was someone they had to very quickly find. Based on the timeline there, you would lean probably more towards there could have potentially been an arrest on the scene there, because finding someone that quickly and identifying a suspect usually takes a little bit more time, unless there's a lookout for a specific car that they were chasing after, or something of that nature. So we'll find out more at this press conference about exactly who this person was potentially.
And it is also clear, Ryan, that this has been, from the law enforcement perspective, an all hands on deck effort, given just how high profile this was.
Correct. Yeah, you had an immediate response there. You saw earlier, in your coverage, a lot of that instant response, and the FBI was responding very quickly as well. This was obviously state law.
Yeah, it would be my guess that up where this TikTok's Seymour Macy 64 is, that would be my guess that's probably somewhere, maybe on the rooftops over there, because he's got to have a line of sight to be able to see him. Obviously, if I'm correct, that the shot came from that side, but we will learn more once the forensics is done.
And local law enforcement were first to the scene, and so that quick partnership sort of lines up. And the question now will be where this case initially falls, whether it's brought initially locally or federally, as well as the details here and how this apprehension all came about very quickly. Obviously, this horrific for the family, you think of his wife, his widow, and the surviving children there. Obviously, this is, just a horrific situation.
Yeah, that's really crazy. It's really
the new bits of information that I have are that we have for sure 3 people who were transported to the hospital. One.
All right, do that one here. Let's listen to Governor Cox here. Let's listen to Governor share screen. Y'all hit the like button. This is Governor Spencer Cox. His analysis here.
It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to 2 young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now, to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah. Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere.
I agree with that. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely. Anyone who's celebrating this, glad about it. I mean, you've got to be really, really broken to celebrate any kind of nonsense like that. There's not going to be any gun. There's not going to be any gun reforms. We've had children deleted. We've had all that. We talk about what goes on. He just talked about the other assassinations or attempted assassinations. You know, he didn't mention that there was a plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan. They've had these discussions. They're not gonna do anything about it. They're not gonna. They didn't do anything after Sandy Hook. They're not gonna do anything about it. They're gonna get thoughts and prayers, but they're gonna keep pushing on. And I'm saying that as a person who really wants that, you know, really needs that. I think that we really need that as a country, but it's not gonna happen. Thank you, JB. Thank you.
I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans.
All right, we've just been listening to Utah officials.
I definitely agree with his sentiments there. I think it's disgusting. I think it's horrible. Meadow Woods, thank you for joining. The FBI director says that they have a person in custody. They think it's him. Our country is better than this. We got to be. We cannot celebrate this type of thing. We cannot celebrate this type of thing. We got to have debate. We got to have conversations. Resorting to violence is not the way. It's not the answer. If you can send me that, shooter, I mean, I'd like to see it. And maybe you can pull that up. I'm sure that that's what they were looking for. I'm sure that they were scanning like crazy with the cameras and all that. So, yeah, that's wild. Let's go over to AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, and let's see what she had to say. Yeah, if you could put that in the chat, that'd be great. I'd like to see that video of him running away.
I think what has just transpired is tremendously disturbing. It is the latest evolution and instance of political violence in the United States, and it must end.
Congresswoman, what message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment? What message do you have to your fellow lawmakers regarding the political environment and the rhetoric that has been put out in the media?
You know, beyond rhetoric, we need to talk about action, and we need to talk about, yes, there are words, but most importantly, we are in a job of leadership. We are in a job of action. We are in a role and a position where the American people are looking to us to do something about this. And every single day, people are dying due to gun violence in America. And every single day, there are people in this building that continue to vote against doing anything. They vote against universal background checks. They continue to support legislation and also remove any way to block the mentally ill, to block extremists, to block people with histories and records of domestic violence from getting guns in their hands. So are we going to do something about this or not? We have a political assassination that happened at the same time as a school shooting where children are dying on the same day, a week after a shooting at a Catholic school where children were were gunned down while praying. Are we going to do something, or are we going to argue over rhetoric? That is my question about this. We have to pass gun safety legislation and stop this.
What one congresswoman was saying that was yelling at Republicans, and it was Democrats.
I mean, people can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we're doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening. We have to stop this. We can stop this. And why don't we start by acknowledging that basic common sense gun safety legislation is not taking away a gun, is not attacking the Second Amendment, but it is about ensuring the safety of our children, of women, of people across this country, to ensure that guns and firearms do not get in the hands of people who are going to use them against human beings, period. Domestic violence is one of the highest indicators of whether a person is going to kill someone else with a gun or not. There are so many other indicators, and I think it is so deeply important that when a politician tries to blame words for inaction, they need to look at their action and their record. Enough of this. This is horrific. This is awful. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America. We cannot risk it.
I absolutely agree with her. We don't know what this person was. That's why the FBI's got to get involved. We don't know what this person was about, what they were on, if this was a part of a larger conspiracy. It could definitely, to her words, uncork something that could be greater, more violence, more. And what about retaliatory violence? Okay, they would kill one of our conservatives. We're going to go after one of the Democrats, one of the liberals. It could have a catastrophic, cascading, domino effect, ripple effect that the FBI's definitely got to get on top of with this type of incident here. I want to try to find something about somebody else I watch here. His name is Malcolm Nance, and see because I saw that he had done something. Let's see, I saw he did something. Yeah, so we definitely got to get a hold on this type of thing.
This is Malcolm Nance, and this is a black man spy flash traffic. In the military, when we have a crisis, the information that is sent to the highest levels of command authority is sent at the flash level of information. And I think the situation as it has occurred in Utah today with the assassination and murder of Charlie Kirk, which is reprehensible, is a situation you all need to know about and that I want to talk about. Number one, I've spent decades in counterterrorism. And if there's any one thing that I know is Charlie Kirk was a political analyst, and he was going around to universities and he was talking to people who were opposed to him. He would debate people, and whoever murdered him did it for a reason that was either in their head or was political in nature. And that is the definition of terrorism: act of violence or threat of violence, political in nature, in which the intended audience is beyond the immediate victim, who in this case is Charlie Kirk. I never agreed with anything that man stood for, but I respected the fact that he would go around and he would debate what he believed in as an.
Agreed. I didn't particularly like what he said either, but at least he was having conversations. At least the man was having conversations. This devolving into violence to shut people up or to spark a greater revolution, whatever they're looking for, it's got to be analyzed. Can't just sweep this under the rug. This could have catastrophic political ramifications for time to come here.
Influencer and a podcaster, but no one has the right to take a life because you have a political disagreement in this country. I swear to God, do you know what we call a terrorist who is an American citizen who carries out an act of terrorism? A terrorist. Sure, we can differentiate that he's an American terrorist versus a Saudi terrorist, but you're still a terrorist. People, I might seem a little excited and a little hot right now because I care about what happens in this country. We had an assassination of politicians in Wisconsin recently. Now we have this one. This is where things need to stop. The rhetoric on some sides is a little higher than the other, but whoever did this is a terrorist. He and or she needs to be hunted down. They need to find out what the purpose of this was. Let's be honest, some people kill people for the notoriety of doing it. Ideology be damned. We saw that in the attempted assassination of President Trump. Some people are just mentally disturbed, but it doesn't matter. It is still an act of terrorism. Now, I'm going to give you my little rant. As a son of Philadelphia, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I was steeped in a love for America and the Constitution of the United States. I spent my entire life protecting you, the American public, from mean, evil, nasty people on the other side of the world who really wanted to do harm to Americans. But here's what I don't want to hear from this point out. I don't want to hear anyone say that this is the time for civil war. I don't want to hear anyone say that this is Kristallnacht, that this is the time to use this as a cudgel against your political enemies. An American citizen was murdered today. And yes, American citizens.
And that's what I'm afraid of, is that more of this is going to spark off something larger, whether they talk about this type of civil war type of crazy nonsense or whatever. That's what I'm very, very concerned about. That's what I'm very concerned about.
Citizens are murdered every day. But this one happened in a dramatic fashion. Someone thought this through, brought in a high-powered rifle, an AR-15 or another weapon which could be broken down, set up deliberately, and shot that man with the intent to kill. And the very fact that the person took one shot, saw success, broke down that weapon, and managed to get away thus far is a sign of deep premeditation. It was an act of terrorism. That being said, it's time to recalibrate the stupid here. No one should use this as an act to incite violence against other Americans. My last book was called They Want to Kill Americans, because all I had was stack after stack after stack of examples of people in this country who call themselves Americans begging each other to want to use their weapons.
I'm seeing your comment here, Rhonda. Apparently, this is the video of the shooter running away. I don't see the link though. Did you put the link in the chat? Let me give you a wrench, because you might need to be a moderator here to do that. Actually, I can't do moderators. I can't do moderators until I'm monetized. So, yeah, I put it up there. I don't see it. Send it to my email. Send it to my email. Let me put the email in here. Send it to my email and we'll take a look at it. Big L. Make sure I spell it right. Yeah, you might not be able to put links in there until I get a bigger following and get monetized. I think that's, I can't add moderators either until that. So I just sent it to the email. I'm not seeing any link, Rhonda. Yeah, it's not there. So send it to my email, and then when I get it, I'll put it in the link. And we'll go back to Malcolm Nance in a second. Just pull out my email, make sure I can see it and get it. Yeah, I definitely agree with the Malcolm Nance there. I've got his books. I enjoy what he talks about. But we can't, we're in a lot of people, their heads in the sand. We're in a bad place. And I'm concerned about this sparking things off there. When you send that email, Rhonda, let me know. Okay, I'll forward to your email. Okay. High Vibe says, it's such an obvious attempt to incite violence. I don't think it will create the civil war they're looking for. You never know what's going to spark it off, but I'm concerned. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. Is the suspect or suspects in custody? The FBI director said they have one person in custody right now. FBI director said they have one person in custody. What conservatives has tried this recently? I don't know. Political violence goes both ways. Whether it's recent or in the past, let's not do the finger pointing thing. Let's not do the finger pointing thing, because this goes on both sides. So, let's see if we can get it. I didn't get the clip yet. Man. Let me check my spam here. All right, so I still haven't gotten it yet.
Insane. If Charlie Kirk's death is going to do anything, it needs to get us all to look back. Now, I am a long distance shooter. I have a load of weapons. I love the sport of shooting, but I don't look at paper targets and think of my fellow citizens. I look at paper targets and I think of how Americans could be defended when I'm overseas. And I keep those skills up. I committed my life to making sure all of you were as safe as humanly possible when you're traveling overseas. I enjoyed meeting Americans when I was in Italy.
You know, I guess to your point there, you're trying to, go back in history. So facts hurt. So, the political assassinations that occurred during the 60s, I would also say that right-wing extremists are all conservative. They want to conserve the country in some way, shape, or form. Oklahoma City bombers, those who went through Buffalo shooting at different individuals, the shooting at the Walmart in Texas, the shooting of what is that? In Pittsburgh, the mosque, not the mosque, the Jewish temple there, all that type of stuff are all. You can tell me those are not all conservatives? Those are all conservative people who want to bring us back to a certain place, right? Right-wing conservative ideologies certainly hurt, certainly have an influence on people in their violence. So let's knock it off with that. All right, let me see it. Just sent it to me here. All right, I think I got it here. All right, let's go to this. I would take Malcolm Nance down here. Stop screen share. All right, let's see if we can put this on here. I guess this is the shooter running away here. Oh, you can see him on the rooftop there. All right, well, you obviously have a different reading of history than I do. You're going to tell me Republicans today back the black community? And what do you mean by back? What do you mean by that? Okay. All right, that's just a laughable statement there. Yeah, so that's that. You got to be kidding me. But yeah, I don't have mods yet, but he's obviously trying to troll. We'll see how long he sticks around here, but he's definitely kidding. And, and they always play that game. They always play that Republican game, never actually recognizing that Republicans of the modern era were not the Republicans of the Lincoln Party. Never acknowledging that. Oh, they always say Republicans. What's his name does that all the time? The black conservative there. Larry Elder does that all the time. Oh, it's Republicans. Republicans always do this. I'm talking about conservatives, left and right of the political ideologies, and those two have switched sides. I know people don't want to acknowledge that, but it's well documented that the political ideology switched sides. At one time, it was the Dixie Democrats. There are no more Dixie Democrats. They would all be now in the Republican Party, right? So, I mean, this is so basic that it's not even worth really talking about. All right, so let's pull back up here the rest of Malcolm Nance. Thank you for that, Rhonda. Share screen here. So we saw the guy running away there. It's exactly where I said he was. That he would probably be up on the rooftop on Kirk's right side there.
Or when I was in Israel and other places, terrorists need to be neutralized because they don't care about your death. They care about the political impact and the view of that death in the eyes of others. I don't know who carried out this act. No one knows. If it was an American, shame on us. The political rhetoric is insane. And I'm going to tell you, as a person who started out politically as a conservative, I was a Colin Powell Republican most of my life. Strong on national security, socially liberal, because we wanted to take care of people. And we in the armed forces understand the meaning of the word empathy. We understand the meaning of the arrows and the olive branch. But I have people in my own country right now who are probably talking shit, talking about using their guns. This needs to stop now. We need to have a discussion about lowering the temperature. I have no idea what the White House is going to do. I have no idea what the left is going to do and what MAGA is going to do. I have no idea. All I want is I want the ass of that terrorist and law enforcement in Utah. I went to school in Utah for several months. Salt Lake City is a very big city. University of Utah, okay, comes in a very conservative area. Law enforcement there is very good at their job. Let's let them do their job. And let's hold off on this, because if it goes tit for tat, somebody comes out and shoots somebody else, then you are on the slippery slope to tearing up everything the fabric of this country stands for. We are already in crisis. And as a Philadelphian who literally walked the streets of where the Declaration of Independence was written, steeped in the values of the Founding Father, I swore an oath and joined the armed forces, right, in the shadow of George Washington in Washington Square. Whereas I like to say, written over that statue is freedom is a light in which many men have died in darkness. Charlie Kirk is now a victim who has died in darkness for our freedom. I honor anyone who exercises their right to freedom of speech. I protected it with my life for decades. The Nance family has protected it for 152 nonstop years. But when you step off and you decide you're going to use violence, now you are an enemy of America. Whoever did this horrible act, I hope we catch them. And I hope we bring them to justice, full justice, so that the American people can see what a murdering terrorist looks like. I'm going to sign off at this point because I'm upset. I'm upset and I'm angry because I didn't dedicate my life to protecting you so that Americans can start running wild and we can initiate a bad version of the TV show Jericho, where we start killing each other. Let law enforcement do their job. The rest of you just shut your mouth until we find out what happened.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with that. Listen, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that this is going to be a larger or a reason for people to get their guns, go up there, try to try to enact political violence against someone else, right? You kill my dog, I'm going to slay your cat type of thing, right? So they kill one of our conservative members, and now we're going to go after one of their liberal persons. I'm concerned about that. I'm definitely concerned about that. So I hope that if people would listen to my voice and saying, let's lower the temperature, listen to Malcolm Nance, listen to AOC, who he played, listen to the governor of Utah. We gotta be better than this. We got to be better than this. We got to be better than this. Yeah. And I'm definitely, absolutely concerned about what's going on here and where the trajectory of the country is going. 41st and 42nd Congress and representatives. All 7 black representatives. What is it? I don't know what this guy's talking about. Historically, the black community received support from a variety of sources, both political and apolitical, humanitarian support. Black Americans, those that I truly saw us as human, were and continue to be our supporters. Yeah. Well, this country has a difficult history when it comes to African Americans and their political rights, whether those who were in Congress, who were then forced out in 1877 throughout the 1890s, forced out violently, refused to be put on ballots to be able to vote, refused the right to vote. So you got to take a look at all that. But nevertheless, as Malcolm Nance, that we just played, has stated that his family has served for 152 years, and black folks have been very faithful in this. So I'm not going to turn this to a black and white thing. But what I do want to turn this into is a cautionary tale of what could happen if things go down the wrong hole. I feel bad for this situation. I feel bad that this has occurred. I'm heartbroken that we're in this place politically, economically, mentally, psychologically as a country. But we don't see each other as human beings. We don't see each other in the value of words and the importance of debate. I'm concerned about that. I really am concerned. So I'm going to sign off there too. I thank you guys for joining. If there's anything else that comes up, we'll try to cover it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. I appreciate you guys and all that. So thank you. That's the test of our supporters today, to see as humanity and respect our struggles. Forget about the blue or the red. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Take care of yourselves. Love each other. Stay informed, y'all. Well, I'm conservative, and we all feel everyone is welcome. It's hard not to notice what's going on these days. Okay, Faxer. I mean, okay. Well, I got a couple of videos coming out. Maybe you should go over and check out some of my stuff there and check. I got a video about a mother and son talking about the racist histories that went on. I think I'll release that one. I have another one coming up that's going to drop on Friday. So check those out and tell me if those persons who did those things to Black folks were conservative. But again, we want to focus on Charlie Kirk and all this type of stuff, right? All right, y'all. So hit the like button on your way out. Thank you so much. Become a member of the channel. Hit the subscribe button and all that. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace.